Hey everybody, welcome to What's Up with Kirsten. I'm Kirsten and today I'm going to give you my best tips for your move abroad. So in no particular order, tip number one, know why you're moving abroad. Our reason was purely financial. We needed to reduce our overhead so I could quit working. It's that simple. And people move abroad for different reasons, but our reason was purely financial and to give me an opportunity to stop working a lot earlier than I had planned. So that's our reason. You'll have to figure out what your reason is. Some people move for a job. Some people move just because they want to experience living in a different country. There's so many different reasons. You hear a lot of talk about people wanting to move for political reasons, safety reasons. We were very fortunate that we didn't feel unsafe with the life we were living in San Diego. We had a great life there. It was just very expensive. So again, know your reason why. Tip number two for you is to be flexible. Now I'm giving you practical tips because these are the things that people don't really think about. They think about them in theory. Oh yeah, I know I'm gonna have to do all these things differently because everything is gonna be different. But you really need to think that out in reality. And when I say be flexible, think about your current life. How flexible are you? How adaptable are you to change? Are you the type of person that starts your day thinking you're going to do A, B, and C, and then you end up doing X, Y, and Z, and you're okay with it? I mean, I've pretty much always lived my life that way, so change and being flexible is not a problem. Working as a nurse, you never know what's going to happen. Working in a hospital, are you kidding me? So you always have to be ready for the unexpected. And that is also true for your move abroad. The thing is, you don't even know what kind of challenges you're gonna encounter in your life, in your home country. After a while, you've pretty much got living down to a science, right? You wake up, you know how you're going to feed yourself, how you're going to clothe yourself. You know if you're going to work, you know where you're going, you know how you're going to get there. If you have to drop your kids off for school, you know how you're going to do that, you know the rules. You've developed these routines over time and you just know everything, and that's really something you take for granted, let me tell you. So being flexible is going to be really your best asset when you move abroad because you don't really know the things that you're going to have to anticipate until you start learning them on the fly, on the spot. And you will be tested, and really how well you adapt to the different situations is going to make or break your experience. Tip number three, don't go into it thinking it's permanent. A lot of people, when they think about moving abroad, they think about, oh, I'm going to move to this place, I'm going to find my forever home, and everything's going to work out great, and we're going to live happily ever after. Now, if that's how your story has gone, congratulations to you. I just want to say that life in general always isn't like that. So moving to a new country, a new culture, new laws, new norms, just moving into the unknown, you just don't know how it's going to play out. Now, obviously, if we all had crystal balls, we would know how things are going to play out and would plan accordingly. But we don't. So it's important to know and to give yourself some grace, knowing that nothing has to be permanent. You're trying something out. Hopefully it'll all work out and go as you want. but you always kind of want to have in the back of your mind the old adage, hope for the best, plan for the worst. Have a plan B, C, and D in your pocket, because things can change on a dime. So you just want to go in with the attitude and the belief that it's not going to be permanent. You might have to move to a different country, move to a different city. There's just a lot of things that could come into play. You could have a family emergency. I mean, you just don't know. So I feel like when people go into these moves thinking that they're going to be permanent, they have to get everything set up like they think it should be, I just think it puts too much pressure on people. And so it would serve you well just to keep it in the back of your mind that, you know, maybe it's not permanent, and if it turns out to be, fantastic. But if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. I mean, look at us. My fourth tip for you on your move abroad is regarding your budget. Be ready to add 25% on top of your monthly budget that you're planning. So for example, if you're planning on a budget of $3,000 US per month, you want to think of that in terms of $3,800 per month. And I say build in this buffer because you just don't know what expenses you're going to run into, especially while you're trying to establish a routine in your new country. You also have to think about the fluctuations in the currency rates. Now, for our budget, I do budget in US dollars. However, I think of all of our purchases in the terms of baht. I don't play to the exchange rate. We bring money over and exchange it when we need it. I'm not going to bring more money when the exchange rate is better or less when it's not as good. To me, that's just not realistic. You have to expect those fluctuations with the exchange rate. It's just a part of living abroad and what you have to consider. Now, that's my approach. I'm sure other people have other approaches that work for them, but for us, we prefer to do it that way. That way, we're not so locked in on what the exchange rate is. So make sure you have a nice pad on top of your monthly budget, and I would recommend 25% just to be safe. Tip number 5, my fifth and final tip for you in this video is to educate yourself on health insurance. There is so much variability when it comes to health insurance. And when you put on top of that, you're purchasing health insurance in a new country and a new culture unfamiliar to you, there is a large chance that you may not know exactly what you are getting, especially if you're not well versed on different kinds of insurance plans in the first place. When we were living in Portugal, we had a really nice insurance policy. It was with Allianz. It was a group policy through the AFPOP group. If anybody living in Portugal is watching this, you're probably familiar with that group because they market this insurance to foreigners moving to Portugal. It was a great policy. We could rock right up to the doctor, and pretty much everything was covered, and we were only responsible for paying a small amount. And this was going to really nice hospitals in Portugal. Our hospital of choice was Hospital de Luz. The only thing that was not so great about that policy is it was only good in Portugal and Spain. So if we would have stayed in Portugal, it would have been great. But as you know, we now live in Thailand, so we needed to figure out another policy for us. So what we did was we decided to purchase a global policy that is good with everywhere in the world except in the United States. Now, the policy is a bit more expensive than the policy we had in Portugal, but we do have the peace of mind that if we were to undergo some kind of medical emergency, it would be covered. And where we are now in Bangkok, many of the private hospitals offer direct billing with this policy. Now, it's important to know what you think you need in your situation as far as insurance goes. Some people here in Thailand would rather self-insure, not pay a monthly premium for insurance, and then if something happens, well, you just pay cash to the private hospitals. We don't want to have ourselves in that predicament. I mean, that would take a lot of money if we were to have a heart attack or come down with cancer. You just want to know what your policy covers. You want to make sure it includes certain conditions regardless of pre-existing conditions. Like I said, there's just so much variability in these policies, and the last thing you want is to have a surprise when you actually need to use your policy. So you really need to get into the nitty-gritty of how your policy works, what is covered, do you have direct billing, is outpatient care included, are pre-existing conditions included. There's just so much variability when it comes to insurance. And so I can't stress enough that I just think this is really important to educate yourself about, especially as someone who has worked in the healthcare industry, and you just can't predict what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, it really is all for your peace of mind. So to recap, my 5 top tips for you for your move abroad: know why you're going. Be flexible. Don't think of your move as permanent. Add 25% on top of the amount you're thinking for your monthly budget. And the 5th one, educate yourself on health insurance. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.